Thank you for the kind introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank Bansi and RSSDA team for inviting me here to this prestigious event. Basically, I practice, all of us practice adult diabetology, but since I've got a dedicated diabetic center, we do see pediatric patients who are having diabetes, and it's very important. The previous speaker stressed about type 2, and that's about 95% of our practice, but we have to also remember that we have good number of adolescents and children. Now the number is going up, and it's a different issue altogether because they are sometimes so small that they don't know what is going on, and parents also don't know what is going on. So I'll try to quickly take you through the how to assess and how to prevent this type of event from occurring in adolescents and children with diabetes. So basically, as I told you, if you are treating type 1 diabetes, which is predominantly in these children, it is a specialized thing. Type 2, any physician or even an MBBS can easily take care of, because the issues are not, they are very limited issues to be, just you prevent hypoglycemia, take care of the comorbidities and treat the diabetes. But in the pediatric age group, it's totally different, because you need a proper understanding of the subject, and they are at such an age where, the mental health, the child counseling and the education and these things are very important both for the child and family. So when you're practicing diabetes in pediatric age group, you should be, give more time and, have a proper team so that they can take care of these children in a better way. And this hypoglycemia is a very important thing in this age group, and that's why if you see the diabetes care which is published by ADA, they have this type 1 diabetes in children, adolescents, what is the position statement. You can see that there are so many publications regarding impaired awareness of hypoglycemia in children or adolescents with type 1 diabetes. ISPAD is doing lots of work in this because they are the most important group, exclusively focusing on this group, and they also have this assessment and impairment of hypoglycemia in children and adolescents with diabetes. So this is a very important thing, and this should not be neglected because it can be missed, especially the nocturnal hypoglycemia which occurs when the child is sleeping. So just a short thing about type 1, that we always titrate the dose of insulin depending on how much of insulinopenia is there. We need to control the glucose. At the same time, we want to avoid hypoglycemia. You have to remember a little bit of high sugar. Parents always are worried about high sugar. They'll tell that the sugars are slightly on the higher side. But we need to ensure that hypoglycemia does not occur. We want normal growth and development of the child. We don't want any further complications. Also, we don't want very high sugars, and we want to prevent diabetic ketoacidosis. So as the speaker previously pointed out, in type 1, monitoring is very important. You can't have 2 or 3 readings in a week or twice in a month. That's absolutely not the way that we can go forward. So already the previous speaker has talked about what is hypoglycemia. In pediatric age group, the ranges are different, which I'll come to you afterwards. Now the biggest problem is that children with type 1 who are on insulin will have hypoglycemia regardless of whatever you do. So they will have mild hypos every week. Once in a few months they will have moderate hypo, and it's not unusual that they will have 1 or 2 severe episodes sometime or the other during the day or night. That's because of their unpredictable nature. They may be in a good mood, they may not be in a good mood, they may not eat. Sometime you may give the insulin, they will say I don't want to eat, they'll go for playing suddenly. So all their behaviors are different. They may go out and have a snack. So all these things will produce more hypoglycemia in children, and it's very dangerous in the long term because it can reduce the cognitive function if it occurs regularly. The highest risk is in toddlers and infants. I don't deal with this group because I hand them over to a pediatric endocrinologist. It's a very specialized treatment, and this is because their meal times are irregular, the activity levels are very little bit different as compared to adults, and it's very, very difficult to exactly diagnose hypoglycemia in a child less than 6 years old. And if we feel hungry, we can easily go to the fridge or to the cupboard and eat some biscuit or something. But this group of 1 to 6 can't easily access the glucose source, and so the hypoglycemia will be worsened. Again, the previous symptoms, previous speaker spoke about the symptoms, but the very, very important thing that in the mild hypoglycemia, you will have apprehension, fussiness, irritation, tearfulness. So don't think that this is a behavioral problem in the child. So this is a very important thing to understand, that any child who is some change in the behavior, don't take them to a psychiatrist or don't take them to a child psychologist. First, look at whether this child is having mild or moderate hypoglycemia. So this is very important thing to take care of in this age group. And of course, mild and moderate and severe hypo should be prevented, but mild is going to happen, and if you are not aware about it, then these common symptoms which are there can be many times neglected. So these are all the various studies which show the incidence of hypoglycemia in children and adults, and per 100 person years it ranges anywhere from 3.1 to 45. In one study in France it was 45, so that's quite a big number. So again, as I told you, this is a very specialized group of patients, and you should be looking at this thing on the longer run. These are the values of hypoglycemia in the various age groups. Neonates is less than 40, older children less than 55, children with malnutrition is less than 54, and adolescents and adults is 70. So maybe about 12 years you can keep 70 as the benchmark, but in a younger age group the benchmark changes because they are in the pediatric age group. Again, as Madam told very rightly, we follow the rule of 15, give oral glucose. You should give either juice or sugary candy or a beverage, and you should check after 15 minutes. Again, as one of the audience pointed out, glucagon is very, very important in type 1 diabetes, and because again, it's a very short lasting thing, and we should be available. If the child is going to the school or child is going for some yoga classes or some sports activity, whoever teacher is teaching them should be aware of how to give glucagon to the child if there is a hypoglycemia. If glucagon is unavailable, as Dr. Rutul pointed out, and the speaker also pointed out that it's difficult to access glucagon, then there is no option but to take the child to the hospital and to give IV dextrose, start with maybe 25% and then give 10%. Usually they come out of it very fast because they have not consumed any oral anti-hypoglycemic agents. So how to prevent again in children is totally difficult because in the younger age group, they won't understand also, 6-7 years, they don't know what is going on. It's the parents. So those who teach hypoglycemia to children with diabetes, they should have experience in childhood diabetes. So a general educator who educates about diabetes is not enough for a diabetic child and their family. And there are so many issues, families have got so many, how will I send my child to school, how will I send my child to a birthday party, and that all, so many questions will come. So that educator should be equipped to deal with all this and give the proper answer to all these things. And you have to remember that as the child grows up, 1 year, 2 year, 4 year, 5 year, 12 years, the development will be different, the mental things will be different, the activity will be different. So every time the education is going to be different. So there is an ongoing education at every visit. We want to prevent hypoglycemia. If there is an acute severe hypoglycemia, how to save the life of the child. Also understand that hyper also should not be allowed, and a good glycemic control reasonably tight without complications is very important. So identification is also important. Parents, of course, we are going to teach, but the class teacher and the sports teacher are not going to come to us. So that they should be told by the parents that, those who are in close contact, if the child is going to an uncle's house or somebody's house, they should know what is hypoglycemia and how to deal with it. All these children should be given an ID, and in USA the driving age is 16, of course in India it is 18, so in 16 children are allowed to drive in USA. So they should have identification, so that if they have a hypo and they have an accident, the first thing you do is not to check for alcohol level but to give IV glucose or whatever is needed to treat them. Now in different age groups, just will go fast about how to prevent hypoglycemia. Infants less than 1 year are totally dependent on parents. They have got the highest risk of the seizures and coma, and parents are also very worried, so you have to counsel the parents. Again, 1 to 3 they are dependent on parents. Remember that temper tantrums is not a tantrum, but it may be a hypoglycemic episode. Don't be overly cautious because we want good physical and mental development from the child. If you restrict everything, then you will have a well-controlled diabetic, but the child will not fit into the society in a normal way. 3 to 7 years children start understanding but they are dependent on the patients. So the child also needs to know that if you don't eat on time, if you do exercise without having a snack, you will have hypoglycemia. So you can start explaining to the child. 8 to 11 years, anxiety will come because they will feel that they are different from their other children. Up to 8, they don't understand that. So they will feel that, that the boy or the girl sitting next to me is normal and I am abnormal. They may be fearful of hypoglycemia because they don't know what is going on. But we should start giving responsibility to child with with a supervision, and this is usually the ideal age to start a pump, because the child, they usually know how to operate the mobile, so they can easily learn how to start the pump. Again, in a resource constrained country like India, not everybody can be on the pump, so usually we are on basal bolus and SMBG, but those who can afford, I think it's a wonderful thing to give them a pump in this age group. Finally, adolescents, and they don't need the parents now, they can take care of themselves. Of course, the parents are there as a pillar to guide them without getting overly involved, and parents especially will help to deal with peer pressure, because there is a lot of, whenever they go to school or college, they are very much influenced by their friends and by their colleagues. So this, you should be a friend with your son or daughter who is having diabetes, so that they come and tell you what is going on at school, so that you can tackle that problem. Of course, we know, as I told you, the insulin pump has made a very big role in prevention of hypoglycemia. Excellent tool to use in type 1 diabetes, but we are very much resource constrained. These are the age-specific goals. You can see that the various groups, the Canadian Diabetic Association, AD and ISPAD, have got different targets depending on whether they are toddlers or school children or adolescents. ISPAD is having a common target of 90 to 144 for all these age groups up to the age of 18, and HbA1c of less than 7.5. While AD has got slightly higher HbA1c target for toddlers, 8 for school children, and 7.5 for adolescents, because they know as the age increases, the chance of their understanding and being able to take care in a better way is also improved. So SMBG is the common thing which we'll be using in India. So usually in my type 1 diabetics who can't afford, because if you are talking about the continuous monitoring, it cannot be done every day throughout their life. So they have to rely on SMBG, and at least international standard is 5 readings every day, but I try to ensure that at least 3 readings are taken, always fasting, and then different pre-meal and post-meals, and at least once in a week or once in 10 days we do a 7-point to see what is going on. So this is the bare minimum that you should do in a type 1 or in a child or an adolescent who is having diabetes. As and when they can come for the continuous glucose monitoring, you put it so that you can adjust the dose. So test at least 4 times a day in the first few months, and every time you change the dose. Test postprandial, preprandial both, so that you can adjust the dose and how much of basal and how much of bolus you need to give. And this is again a position statement regarding the continuous glucose monitoring system. We know that it is available, but again, as I told you, it's difficult to use it as a continuous tool throughout the life. But this helps us a lot in understanding the variability, in understanding the excursions, and how much of basal and bolus we need to correct. So once in a while we should, now many of the monitors now, the pumps are having the inbuilt CGM, which has made life very easy. But if that is not the one which they are using, then we have quite a cheap, economic as compared to what was previously available CGMs, and we can do it, and then we call them 2-3 times and adjust the dose of insulin. A couple of my diabetic kids, now they are no longer kids, they have grown up. One is an IT engineer in Bangalore, is planning to migrate to Canada, and he has bought his own CGM and is very intelligent. Of course, he is an IT guy, is very intelligent. He uncle, how are you? Once in 6 months, he will text me what is going on, and they learn to manage their diabetes very well. Our aim is in type 1 diabetes, we want them to be able to manage themselves. We are just there as in the background to be able to guide them and support them whenever they are needed. Don't forget medical nutrition therapy in this age group, because these are growing children. In an adult who is 60 or 70 kilos, you can say, "Arey bhai, wajan ghatao or kam khao." But in these children or adolescents, whether they are male or female, they need to grow and develop both physically and mentally. So only you don't stop restricting the calories, because we don't want the normal growth and development of the child to suffer. So evaluate the height, weight, BMI, increase the nutrition accordingly, and titrate the dose. Don't reduce the nutrition and titrate the dose. So these are all the calorie needs. This is again, as I told you, if you are treating diabetes in this group, you need to know what are the caloric requirements, how much of calories they need, so that you give adequate calories and then treat the hyper or hypo which occurs according to that. Exercise again is very important. After 6 to 7 years of age, the child, of course, they always go for playing cricket or whatever outside, but they need to do 30 to 60 minutes of activity, and ideally if you give carbohydrate before the exercise, that will help them. If they are having a vigorous glucose, then a vigorous activity, you know that I think Wasim Akram was having type 1 diabetes, so they need to do regular monitoring, and glucose, you should always, whenever they go to play, they should take some glucose nearby. Psychosocial help is very important. because, there may be other problematic behaviors which may not be related to hypoglycemia, about health belief, fasting, if the Jains and the Muslims, they've got fasting, there are other social issues. So all these things will aggravate. Force in India, food is, if somebody doesn't eat, they are very unhappy. Patients come and say, sir, 5 ही roti खाता है. So 5 ऐसे is something unbelievable. I eat only 1 roti a day. So food is associated with, wellness and happiness. So all these things are very important, and we need to properly guide them, and the parents and the grandparents and everybody, that you see that the food and whatever they take is in a proper way. So we should review the hypoglycemia at every visit. If the episodes are very frequent, bring up your HbA1c target. Don't keep it on the lower side. Very important to see that hypoglycemic unawareness is assessed, and the only way to prevent it is to prevent hypoglycemia from occurring. Keep the blood sugar on higher side so that the awareness returns back. So basically we know that these are the rules. If it is accessible, oral glucose, rule of 15. Children, definitely glucagon the best. Otherwise, always hospital and IV dextrose is easily available in India. So the final slide is that to avoid hypoglycemia, frequent charting and review, good patient and education to the patient, parent, caregiver, recognize the symptoms. Please disclose everything about the disease to the responsible adult. Cater your management according to the age. Child grows up, see that you cater according to that. Always have age-specific glycemic goals. They are not adults, they are children. If possible, if affording, basal bolus or MDI with pump. Regular frequent monitoring, whatever way, regular SMBG, or Bansi yesterday and today they are going to give lots of free insulin and kits and the glucometers to the children. So let them use those glucometers on a regular basis. Medical nutrition therapy, exercise, and of course in the background, psychosocial help. Thank you so much.